Hey folks, welcome to week 2. Let me go over what is due this week and what we're going to learn. So, under, again, Canvas homepage, go to week 2, and you'll see we have a few items due and a few things to read and one thing to watch. So, the first thing that you have due is the revised scholarship personal statement. So, use peer review comments. Use my comments, which will be coming in the next day or two, and I'll send out an email about when those are done. And so use all of that feedback to revise that and get that in by Sunday night, midnight. So you've got that due. And then you have a discussion due. So the discussion is based on some readings this week. So take a look at watch, and you can watch this or you can read it. When I applied to college, I didn't want to sell my pain. This is from a student, Elijah Meganson. He has a very interesting take on scholarship applications, admission applications. So check out what his argument is, what he's saying. And I want you to respond to him and his ideas in the discussion. And this directly ties into this situation that we're writing within about for a scholarship personal statement. He has sort of a critique of what these statements are and what they ask you to do. So check out his idea. You can click on, when you click on his image, it'll take you to I believe it's a video by the New York Times, and it's posted to Instagram. So you can watch the video or you can read the 2-page article. Then I want you to read Not Leadership Material Good. The World Needs Followers. This is by Susan Cain. She's an expert on a lot of things. You can check out her bio. She has a really interesting argument, critique on, again, college admissions, college practices in general, and this overemphasis on leadership skills and leadership qualities as sort of the major defining ask that colleges want, right? So she's saying that they're over-focusing on this thing called leadership, which is often more of a vanity project, according to Cain. So read these two authors, read these two writers. What do you think of their ideas? And I want you to respond, right? You can agree, you can disagree, or something different, something new. So that's the discussion for this week. I want you to engage these ideas. Think of this as a gigantic brainstorm in the discussion. And then I want you to respond to each other, right? What do you think of what your colleagues said, right? Did they say something new or fresh in response? What do you think of that? So that's that. And then I want you to email me. And I know you're like, okay. So this is a professional email assignment. And I give you a few readings on gender inclusive emails, effective email signatures. And when you go in this assignment, there's more readings on email. And folks, I know we all know how to write a professional email, but this is going to just polish what we know, okay? So read this short assignment and read these links. You should know the differences between CC versus BCC and how to use them, right? So carbon copy versus blind carbon copy. So that's in one of these readings. And I give you some other good tips in there. And you'll send your email to my LW Tech email, right? So john.calavita@lwtech. So this isn't an assignment that you'll upload to Canvas. You're actually going to send it to my email. So there is that. And for that email reading, again, make sure you read the gender inclusive writing and the effective email signature. I want your email to also include a signature. And this isn't, a cursive signature. This is one of my students said it very well. It's like a business card, right? Like attached to your email, or it's a professional stamp that gives your name, your degree program, your expected graduation date, and then it uses your most professional email, which may be your LW Tech email, or if you have a more professional email, you might put that in your signature. So this is just some really helpful information to have in an email, and then you can save it to settings if you want. You don't have to for this assignment. For this assignment, I just I just want a signature in your email, but you don't have to save it to your settings. If you decide that you do, great, save it to your permanent settings. Okay, and then read this short reading on gender inclusive email practices. Right, email has changed. Email is changing, and so we need to be able to respond or reach out to folks when we don't want to assume, right, gender identity or anything like that. So this gives us this is fascinating. This is put out by the government of Canada, right? The Gouvernement du Canada. My French really sucks. But take a look at this, and I almost think, Canada is sort of leading the way in talking about gender inclusivity and, right, avoiding sexism in emails. Because, right, if you do Miss MS, that is identifying a woman's marital status in a way that Mr. doesn't. So this just sort of sweeps all that away. And when you look at it, it gives you some really inclusive solutions on how to address someone if you don't know them, right? It's really easy. You can just do their whole name, or you can abbreviate, right, their first and their middle name. So you've got JT Ames for Justin Teresa Ames, or again, just spell it all out. So you have, right, several solutions in this short reading. So take a look at that, and right there's more. Right? There's just some great solutions here, right? Dear colleague for dear sir or madam. So yeah, okay. So take a look at that, and those are your three main items due this week. You've got that email that you're going to send me. You've got your revised scholarship personal statement, and then this discussion about sort of the context around admissions and scholarships in colleges. And what do you think about that? Okay, so that is this week. Next week, we get into talking about sources, and we're going to look at some really interesting sources. Before we start writing, we've got to talk about this thing called sources. So we'll look at some deep fakes, we'll look at some banned books, we'll look at algorithmic bias, we'll look at ChatGPT, right, and how it's changing a lot of courses and assignments. So we'll talk about that. So that's next week, when we really get into all of these rich sources and these problematic sources and how sources are changing, right? Information is changing. What do you do when you watch a video and Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is seen surrendering to the Russians, and it's a fake video, right? But like millions of people or thousands of people watched it, and we're like, oh my God, like what's going on? So we'll get into really complicated, manipulative, disinformation, misinformation. We'll get into the difference between those two things. So that's all next week. And again, that's even before we start writing. And so week 4, we start writing our first essay. Okay, but this week, again, you have those 3 due items. Email me if you have any questions. I love Zooming, or if you want to work through email, awesome. Thank you, folks. Have a great week.